right, let's talk about Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. I know, it sounds like just another one of those education buzzwords, right? But what we're going to do here is take that term and make it a real practical tool that you can actually use in your classroom. Like tomorrow. We're going to get into how to make your lessons work for every single student, every single time.
So let's just start with this question, because it's one every single teacher faces. You're sitting down, you're planning a lesson, and you look at your roster. You've got this whole classroom full of wonderfully different learners, and somehow you're supposed to reach all of them with just one plan. It can feel kind of impossible, honestly. But what if? What if we're just thinking about the problem in the wrong way? I love this quote from Katie Novak because it just nails it. Imagine you're throwing a dinner party. You want everyone to have a good time, to enjoy the food. You're not just going to serve one big casserole with meat and cheese, right? No way. You know you'll have people with different diets, allergies, preferences. Somebody's going to go home hungry if you do that.
And that, right there, is the perfect analogy for the classroom. That one-size-fits-all lesson, that's the casserole. We say one-size-fits-all, but really it's more like one-size-fits-none. But a universally designed lesson, that's the buffet. It's all about providing options, multiple pathways, so every single student can walk up and build a plate that works for them. Everyone leaves full.
Okay, so this whole buffet idea sounds great, right? But what does it actually look like? Let's dig into what we mean by universal design, because where the idea came from, well, it tells you everything you need to know. So the whole concept actually started in architecture. Seriously, think about it. If you're designing a new library, you wouldn't just build it with a bunch of stairs and then, tack on a ramp later as an afterthought for wheelchair users. Of course not. You design it from the very beginning with ramps, automatic doors, books in different languages. You'd build it so that everyone can use it from day one. UDL is just taking that exact same proactive mindset and applying it to how we design our lessons. Now, this is a super important point, so let's be clear. UDL is not the same thing as differentiation, but they are like a perfect team. Think about it like this. UDL is all the planning you do before the lesson. It's proactive. It's you setting up that amazing buffet. Differentiation, on the other hand, is what you do during the lesson. It's reactive. It's when you see a student struggling with their essay draft and you pull a small group to give them some targeted help. You absolutely need both. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Where do you even start? Well, the first step, and honestly, this is the most important one, is to get super, super clear on your goals. You have to know what's non-negotiable and where you can be flexible. It's basically a 3-step process. First, just look at the standard. What do all students have to know and be able to do? Step 2, and this is the magic key right here, you zoom in on the verb. Does the standard say explain or analyze, or does it specifically say write? That verb tells you everything about where you have wiggle room. And finally, step 3, you define your success criteria. What does a great final product look like, no matter which path a student took to get there? And that verb really is the whole game. Let's say your standard is explain the causes of World War II. Well, a student could do that in a ton of ways, right? They could write an essay, sure, but they could also make a video, record a podcast, create a timeline. The goal is the explanation. But if the standard says write an argumentative essay, well, that's different. That's a non-negotiable skill. The final product has to be an essay. But even then, you can still offer flexibility in the process. They can use tools like voice-to-text or graphic organizers to help them get that writing done. All right, so let's move on to step 2. Once you have that firm goal, now you can put your architect hat back on. It's time to anticipate the barriers. What's going to get in your students' way? And I absolutely love this strategy. It's called a pre-mortem. You know how after something goes wrong, you might do a post-mortem to figure out what happened? Well, this is the opposite. You do it before. You sit down with your lesson plan and you ask yourself, okay, what are all the ways this could go wrong? You really think about it. Why might a student struggle with this text? Oh, maybe the vocabulary is super old. Why might they get stuck on this math problem? Maybe the directions are too complicated. You're basically finding all the potential roadblocks before your students even hit them. See, when you anticipate those barriers, you can plan for them. You can build in supports or scaffolds, and they usually fall into one of 3 big categories. So, in your pre-mortem, you worried about that old-timey vocabulary? Bam! You provide a linguistic support, like a glossary. You thought the multi-step directions might be confusing? No problem. That's a conceptual support, like a checklist or a sample problem. Worried about the group work chaos? Easy. That's a sociocultural support, like giving students specific roles or even the option to just work with a partner. Okay, so Following these steps, setting up the buffet, anticipating the barriers, it's not just about getting kids to pass the next test. The ultimate goal here is something way bigger, way more powerful. It's about creating expert learners. And for this, let's think about Goldilocks. How did she figure out which porridge was just right? She had to try the one that was too hot and the one that was too cold first. That's exactly what we want for our students. We need to give them the chance to try out different tools, different strategies, so they can figure out for themselves what's too hard, what's too easy, and what is just right for them. And that is what an expert learner is. They're purposeful, they're resourceful. They're the kind of person who decides they want to bake macaroons for a friend's birthday. They know why they're learning this, they go find what they need, the best recipe, the right kitchen tools. And when that first batch totally burns, they don't give up. They figure out what went wrong and they try again. They completely own their own learning process. Ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. We're helping our students build that internal voice, that self-awareness. We're slowly but surely shifting the ownership of learning from us to them. We're giving them this incredible mental toolbox that they can take with them and use on any challenge they face for the rest of their lives, long, long after they've left our classroom. So let's land the plane with this thought. You do not have to go back and redesign your entire year's curriculum tonight. That's not the point. UDL is a journey. It's a practice. So just look at your lesson for tomorrow. Just tomorrow. What is just one small choice, one little flexible option you can offer? What's one thing you can add to the buffet to help your students start building their own plate?